I'm Michael Sean Harris, and you're listening to Mike's Moment of, a weekly podcast in which I, along with my guests, share our various interests in moments of inspiration, truth, life, technology, culture, and more. I hope you're entertained and informed, and that you feel inspired to join me again and again in my moments of. Okay, all right, so here we have another episode of Mike's Moment of, and today we're speaking with David Reid. David.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for doing this.
And thank you so much for thinking that you should do it.
And thanks for Rosina for helping to facilitate it.
I'm more than happy about this. I'm a little bit flabbergasted, not expecting anything like this. You live a life that you enjoy thoroughly, and then somebody comes and try to make some big thing of it.
Well, give us the grand introduction. I know you probably don't like to introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm the last of 6 children. I'm the last of my parents' 6 children.
Okay.
In those days, in the elementary schools, as we used to call them, every class had a school song for the term. And children were bound to learn these school songs. As a matter of fact, I can remember in 4th standard, Mr. Hugh Atkins used to put us to stand up on the bench.
Yes.
For when we were up there, our bottoms were at cane level.
So what school was that?
So it's Calabar. Calabar Elementary School, connected to the Baptist Church. At the point in time, we lived very near to the Baptist Church, and my father was a Baptist. My mother was Anglican. Okay. Anyway, I had a singing family. Okay. There was one brother who, if he started to do anything that he called sing, we begged him to stop. But the rest of us could. The rest of us sang fairly well. Johan couldn't sing for anything.
Oh, wow.
Net result is that at age 5, 6, 7 growing up, I was learning all of my siblings' school songs.
From all the other schools.
Yes,
as well.
And giving recitals in the bathroom. We had a large kind of stone bath and had a high edge, and I would get up on top of it and deliver at age 5. And they would beg me to stop the noise and come out.
So you were holding the craft from then, from
precisely.
Age 5.
I didn't know what I was doing. I was just singing because I love the music and I love to sing. And right. But on top of that, I think we didn't have a radio. I don't think we had a gramophone.
And around what year? Around what year was this?
Well, this would have been. I was born 1929. This would have been like 1930 something, 1937, 30. I was like 6, 7, 8 growing up.
Okay.
When all of this started.
Right.
So my father had a friend who worked on the Panama Canal. Mm-hmm. He bought him an instrument called a polyphone, a big music box. It had metal records, and the records had some things under it that plucked a keyboard.
Right.
Now, I would take this thing out of the cupboard when I was like 6 and 7 and oil down everything, wind it up, and play. I realized later on in my life that I was playing Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms on this polyphone thing.
Okay.
It wasn't just ordinary little songs. Then in school, we all had to have school songs. Every class had a school song. So I learned everybody's school song.
Okay.
And I delivered at will, I just sang. It was when I grew up now into being a man and became a member of the Y Choral group and stuff like that. I realized.
So tell me about the Y Choral group. Like who started that? Why was it started? If you remember why.
The Y Choral group.
Yes.
Sibthorpe Beckett was the. He started the group.
Okay.
It was in a way connected to the YMCA.
I see.
That's how it became the Y Choral group.
And this is around what year? What years was the Y Choral group active?
This would go back to, I would have been about 20 when I became a member of that group.
Okay.
So we're talking about 1949, round about that. And you'll find that most of our very good singers and those who became prominent singers in Jamaica were members of the White Choral group, because if I believe it was the first group of that sort that was formed in Jamaica.
What kind of material was the group doing? Was it mostly
Beethoven,
classical
Brahms,
or
Bach,
original?
the whole lot of them.
Okay.
Right. We did things like, the Brahms Requiem and Messiah, Elijah.
Right. What was the reception of when the White Choral group performed? What was the reception?
Place was crowded,
audiences?
man. Place was full.
And everybody
people were excited at what we were doing. No, those folks were musicians. You see, in those days, the people who sang were musicians as well.
Ah, okay.
They didn't just sing.
Right.
Most of them. I was one who was a singer. But that came very much later, right? But
so you said a lot of them were musicians. Were they getting this musical education as being part of the White Choral group or outside of it, and they just happened to?
No, we were members of the group. Becky taught us the pieces.
Okay.
Right. I don't know that everybody read music at the time.
Right.
I think we were learning by rote and singing.
Okay.
But making a enjoyable job of it.
Okay. And out of this experience with the White Choral group, where did that lead?
Later on, we had. Let me take it from the early days.
Yes.
Really early days. Became a member of the White Choral group. I started learning all these things. Then I realized that some of the stuff on the polyphone is what they were doing.
Ah, okay. So that connection was made.
That made a connection for me, and I settled in. I never studied music. I learned the songs. Mm-hmm. We did it. Becky would play the notes, right. And then some of us would meet off-site and learn and practice. But we all made sure that by the time it came around to concert time, we could sing these things without the book.
Right. But then you already had a familiarity with many of the things because of the polyphone.
Well, it was the polyphone hadn't exerted its influence so much.
Okay.
I realized then what the polyphone
right. That's what that was. Yes.
That was it. But it is not a thing that compelled me to.
No. That's what I was saying, that once you started learning these, you realized that you had a familiarity.
Hey man, I know this thing.
Yes.
And we go on. So a few years of the White Choral group. My memory is very bad these days, and I probably can't get everything in sort of anecdote style.
That's fine.
But I became a member of St. George's Church. I was baptized there as an infant. I was confirmed there. I became a member of the choir when I was about 18 years old.
Okay.
After about 2 weeks at choir practices and at services, my choir director, Mr. Easton Souter, who worked at headquarters house, moved me from where I was sitting and put me to sit down between two other tenors.
Okay.
I realized about a year after that they were his two best readers.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So he must have heard something in my voice, I'm not sure, and figured, well, let him listen to those two and reproduce. So I just sang lustily. I learned the things quickly. I think I had a pretty quick ear for music.
Okay.
And I learned very quickly our Messiah, our Elijah, Israel in Egypt, all those great oratorios. Is anybody singing them now? I haven't heard of one for a long time. Yeah. Right, so St. George's Church had a big role to play in the whole of this, because Easton Souter was our conductor, he was our father, he was everything.
Where's St. George's Church? Oh, East Street.
East Street, Kingston.
Okay.
East Street. Lovely pipe organ where little old man Papa D used to play the Mr. Dad.
Did Joyce Ashburn ever play
Peter?
Organ? Joyce?
No, not in my time.
Okay.
I was a civil servant, and I worked at the police headquarters, and then at the post office. And while I was at the post office, I applied for a scholarship because I wanted to go and do music. I got a call from headquarters house asking me if I'd be interested in taking up an assignment in England as a member of the Jamaican High Commission up there.
Okay.
Because it was coming up to independence time.
Right.
I was hoping that they were about to offer me a scholarship. But they offered me this and I said, fine, beautiful, thank you very much. I'll do this. So I finally wound up in England. And it was while I was there that I decided, no. After all the singing with the white choral group, I used to sing with the National Choral when it came into being. All the choral groups I used to sing with. And most of the time I was doing the solo work.
Right.
Right? So I now decided I had better see if I can do something about my singing while I'm up here.
In England, okay.
Found a little lady who lived in my area who was a professional accompanist. And the first time she heard me, she insisted, well, she said, so where did you do your voice training? And I said, sorry, I didn't do any voice, individual voice training. She says, you expect me to believe that? I said, well, it's true. She said, I can find out. So the next time I went to a lesson with her, not a lesson, a session.
Right.
Because she was just playing for me. By this time, I had been doing a lot of singing.
Okay.
Right. So she took me to a voice tutor, Mr. Fabian Smith. And I sang something for him, and he asked me how long I'd been doing training. And I said, no. Same story all over again.
Yes.
He said, I can find out. I said, well, go right on ahead. I'd like to know why people are thinking that I've done voice lessons when I haven't.
Yes.
And he gave me some vocalizing to do.
Okay.
My God, it was wicked.
Really?
Yes, and he said, okay. And he put me through my paces. What was happening is that I was not taking my head voice far down enough.
Okay.
So I was switching to head. And he said, no, there's no such thing as going across. The whole thing, the head is in the bottom, straight up to the top. That was his story, and I vocalized on that and so forth. So I worked with him for maybe about 5 or 6 months.
Okay.
In the meantime, I was doing the theory with a very dear little old gentleman called Mr. Gordon Smith. I was very busy at the High Commission. So I'd go to the music lesson, not having done the homework. And I would brightly say, well, Mr. Smith, why don't we just go through the homework as my lesson, while we are here and we get on. He says, no, David, that will not do. You have to do my... Well, all right, just for this lesson then. Let's... Well, that went on for about a year. And then I finally did the ARs, the Royal Schools exam.
Yes.
And graduated, if you please, ARCM distinctions.
Wow. Okay. Excellent.
So when you get the distinctions, the certificate comes in a red box. A little red. So I went to see Mr. Smith. I was coming home again, this time on transfer now to go to Trinidad. I took my red box and I had it. It was winter time-ish and I had it in my coat pocket. And I had a pleasant little half an hour or so with Mr. Smith. Told him I really come to say bye-bye. Didn't know whether I'd see him again, but thanks very much for all you have done to make me a better musician. And walked towards the door, dramatically turned around, hauled the red box out of my pocket. I said, oh my gosh, I nearly forgot this. He looks at the red box and he says, my God, David, you conned them. I said, no such luck, Mr. Smith. I told you you're a great teacher. You could teach me music theory and sit here.
Yes.
So that's the preparation.
Right.
The background, I think, came from way back between the polyphone and my siblings all learning songs, and I learned all the songs. I was always singing. What's the name of this man? He was a registrar of births and deaths. Jim Russell. I don't know if you would have heard of him. He used to put on shows at Ward Theatre. When I was 11, I did a thing on one of his shows.
Oh, okay. What did you remember what you sang?
I think it was At the Balalaika or something like that.
Okay.
That was my initial thing. Then later on along came the Jamaica Musical Theatre Company.
Right, okay.
So I became a member of that immediately. Their first production I was a lead tenor, Pirates of Penzance.
When was that?
I would have been about 20 at the time.
Okay.
All right. So I did Pirates of Penzance. There's a little story that follows that, which I must share with share with you. The following year, whatever the group was doing, I was not going to be a part of it, but I went to one of their rehearsals. I will not call the name of the chap who got the tenor lead because he had very long and very stringy legs. Now, as a Pirate of Penzance, I didn't have any. I had some kind of leg instincts, but my legs were very much in evidence. So I'm sitting in the Ward Theatre, and these two ladies are sitting about 10 rows before me. This is one of the rehearsals, and I believe we're the only people inside in the auditorium. And along came a fellow whose name I will not call, in a pair of tights. And these two ladies were very, very English. And one says to the other, "Oh my God, where did they get that drink of water? Why didn't they use David Reid?" So the lady, I didn't hear her, but she must have asked, "Who was David Reid?" She says, "You don't know David Reid? Then you have not seen his legs?" Every time I see his legs, my battery's charged.
That's lovely. My battery's charged. I love that.
No. So I, as a well-brought-up young man, quietly crept out of the auditorium. Yes. Went about. I didn't want these ladies to realize that I had
overheard. Right, yes.
This conversation at all. But back to music. The other choral groups came into being, National Choral and various things. And I wound up being the tenor soloist for the whole of them. All of this, of course, is gratis.
Right, yes.
As you would know.
All voluntary.
But I really, really enjoy my music. Like I said, the business of listening started early. The business of learning songs started early because my siblings, I'm the last of the 6, and my siblings are getting the songs and I'm learning them all.
Right. Okay.
And in addition to that, we had a little old gramophone and we had some records, and I knew all the songs. I just knew all the songs. Couldn't help myself.
So as we're headed towards independence, is that when they started commissioning the patriotic songs, or was this before? Or
no. How that I sang everything.
Right.
From early. How that came about was that my choir director at St. George's Church, Easton Suter, worked at Headquarters House.
Okay.
Bob Lightburn asked Easton if he would arrange the music and the recording of the thing for him. Get the notes written out, get them.
This is for the anthem.
This is for the anthem.
Right.
Right? And the house demanded, I said I wanted a choral version, a solo version, and an instrumental version.
Okay.
So as it turned out, since Easton Suter, who worked at Headquarters House, was my choir director, it just happened that he asked me to do the solo version.
The solo version. Okay, so you were the original demo.
Right.
For the
I have a recording of it.
You do?
Yes, naturally.
Naturally, of course. What do you take me
that
for?
I would not throw away. That I have to flaunt.
I'd love to at least take a picture of it. Yes.
You want to take a picture of it?
Yes, for sure.
Well, we can lay my hands on it.
All right.
But I know it's copied onto the computer.
Okay. Oh, that's great. So he found the CD, and I have these versions for you here. What's interesting is that not only is there the original recording, the original demo of the National Anthem with Mappletoft playing piano and David singing. But there's an alternate version that we've never heard. As you may or may not know, there was a competition for the National Anthem. So there are several people who had submitted different versions, different songs that would have been considered for the final National Anthem, and this is the one that won. But I'm going to play the alternate version first, and then the one that won. There's also a recording of the anthem for choir and their instrumental as well. I won't play all of them. I might play excerpts, but here we go.
This is the shorter version, which should also commence with the drum roll. Eternal Father, bless our land, guard her with thy mighty hand. Our leaders, great defender, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever, Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love.
That was the alternate version. And now for the version that won.
Is timpani. Eternal Father, bless our land, guard her with thy mighty hand, keep her free from evil powers, be her light through countless hours. Our leaders, great defender, grant true wisdom from above. Justice, truth be ours forever, Jamaica, land we love. Jamaica, 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 land we love.
Isn't that interesting? And now back to the interview.
Anyway, in addition to all of this, excitement on top of excitement. Like I said, I was a civil servant. I was getting older. I had not done any college education. So I applied to the government for a scholarship
Yes.
to go and do something, maybe at Mona Heights or something like that. Like I said, Maple handed over to Easton, and Easton got all the recording done and everything. And, that was the story. Somebody ran down the road and said, David, our song win.
Oh, because it was a competition. It was a competition.
Well,
for
of
the
course, a
anthem.
number of people
Yes,
would have auditioned for this.
For the anthem.
And say, our entry won.
Right.
So then I knew. In the middle of all of this, they decided to transfer me to England to go work in the High Commission
Yes.
over there.
Oh, well, yes.
So I had to take that recording with me to let the English people hear what the
the
mission,
yes.
because I was there for the opening of the mission. I am Miss Independence out here.
Ah, okay.
I was there for the opening of the mission. So, it just went on and on and on.
Yes.
And I must confess, I didn't want to do anything about it. I was enjoying it.
It sounds like
Immense.
quite a
I was enjoying it immensely.
a wonderful
And
period of time.
to be quite honest with you, when I look back, I did not know what I was doing.
Yes.
I was just enjoying myself. I didn't, the thing about the anthem. I said, but wait, how many people sing the national anthem before it became the national anthem?
Exactly, yes.
And then I started. I didn't take things serious, and I believe that's why I've lived to be 91 and still look.
Because you take it lightly.
I didn't make things bother me.
I'd love to hear some more about some of the other patriotic songs that were written specifically for you to sing. They're written with you in mind, no?
I saw my land in the morning.
Oh, that was written with you in mind?
I'm not too sure, but
Okay.
it was one that I... Now, this one here, this one blew my mind.
What's the name of this one?
Douglas Forrest, I Shall Return, I think it was.
Okay.
Douglas Forrest to me was legend.
Ah, okay.
Him and the KC Boys Choir.
Yes.
And the next thing I know is that Mr. Douglas Forrest sends me this folder. Dear David, I'm very sorry about the long delay in sending you this song. I had hoped to have it properly packaged, but this was not possible. Please accept my humble dedication. Yours sincerely, Douglas Forrest.
Wow. Handwritten note in the book, yes.
I have never been so humbled in my life, because Douglas Forrest to me was legend.
Yes, yes.
And here's this man dedicating something. What did I do to deserve this?
You want to sing a bit of it? How you feel?
You mean like right now?
Yeah, just a small, just a little bit, a little snippet.
I didn't warm my voice.
Sing it 50%.
I shall return again, I shall return to laugh and love and watch with wonder eyes at golden noon the forest fires burn, wafting their blue-black smoke to sapphire skies. I shall return to loiter by the streams that bathe the brown blades of the bending grasses, to realize once more my thousand dreams of water rushing down the mountain passes. I shall return to hear the fiddle and fife of village dances, dear delicious tunes that stir the hidden depths of native life, stray melodies of dim remembered runes. I shall return, I shall return again to ease my mind of long, long years of pain.
My son is a parson. And when he was in training at St. Andrew Parish Church, they gave him a house on Ellesmere Road. Next door to that house was a girls' home, also connected to the church. Now, I used to go in the bathroom and vocalize. That's where I did my main vocalizing and sang my whatever I was going to, thought I had to be singing for the next time. One morning I'm coming through the gate and one of the little girls run and tugs at my shirt tail. So, Mr. Reid, you didn't bathe this morning?
She didn't hear you singing that morning.
That's not the reason why I'm not vocalizing. I'm not vocalizing now because I've become lazy.
Okay.
And maybe since coming to St. Elizabeth to live, I've done much less singing than I'm accustomed to doing.
Okay.
When I lived in Kingston, I was singing 3-4 times a week, between the various choirs, with rehearsals, with performances, whatever.
Yes.
Here my son has 4 churches.
Wow.
I help with the preparing of the choir of 2 of them. And that's just about it.
Okay.
I think in the 5 or so years that I've been here, I've done maybe 10 solos.
Okay.
So it makes a lot of difference.
Yes.
When I go, I have a daughter, one son, one daughter, and the plan is that I live between them. The daughter lives in New York.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I'm here from October until May, and in New
months.
York from
Yes.
Now, when I'm in New York, New York already.
Yes.
Bryant Park?
I know of it, yes. I've never been there.
It's a fantastic place.
Yeah.
And what they have there on a Thursday, they have members of cast of the Broadway shows doing excerpts of the things on a stage. And then after that show, at the other end of the park, there's a piano bar, and people go down and they have books with the words of the songs in it, songs from the shows.
Yes, okay.
And we all sing.
And have a ball.
Somebody discovered that my voice was a little different from the others. And after that, every time I went, I was asked to sing a solo.
Oh, that's great. Lovely.
And so I just enjoyed it. But music, I don't know. I couldn't live without music.
Yes,
I wouldn't want to.
So who are some of the other songwriters, the composers of those songs who you worked with, or whose music you sang, the Jamaican composers?
I didn't do much, for Jamaican composers. Not really.
And you were, when independence was around, you were in
No,
England.
I left just before that. So I actually recorded what became a national anthem,
And then left.
as I said, and then left.
Okay.
So I wasn't here to sing. But when I came back, I used to have to go up and sing the national anthem at Up Park Camp on that big festival they have once a year.
Yes.
They used to ask me to do that, but all of that. And then, you see, I was a member of the white choral group in National Choral. The Lloyd Hall had a group down Duke's Scottskirk, right?
Yes.
I did solo work for all of them.
Okay.
And then people asked me to sing solos otherwise.
Right.
So I was always singing. There was no week that I didn't have at least.
Okay, so what was your sense of the vibe of the audiences that you were singing for, just in relation to the new nation being producing and being creative in respect to it, to Jamaica being now independent?
To be honest with you, I bypassed that because I spent 8 years in England.
Oh, it was all of 8 years?
Followed by 4 years in Trinidad.
Okay, so you missed all of it.
So I missed all of that.
Oh,
I wasn't here for Independence Day.
Yes.
I was not here for Independence Day.
Wow. That's interesting.
Taking a flight before Independence Day because they were opening the mission in London.
Okay.
So I really didn't have much to do with any of that period of growth of things in Jamaica.
Okay.
But I had a wide repertoire, and it is not only classical music. I sing ballads.
Okay.
I knew every pop song.
Okay.
I sang my pop songs up and down. So, and in my collection of music, you'll find that it's a wide mixture. And going to Trinidad also came up with some calypsos.
Okay. So what kind of venues were you performing at? What are the different? Because it sounds like a variety of venues you perform at.
Town halls. We're in England.
In England, and even when you got back here.
No, when I got back here, it was the various choral groups.
The various choral groups, and in England,
mainly doing solo work for them.
The Samuel Felsted Oratorio, Jonah. You performed that in 1990.
I won't remember the year.
Rosina remembers.
But I think
Rosina said that you did the solo, and it was the first performance of it for 200 years. The diocesan choir.
At the St. Andrew Parish Church.
Yes.
You sang the solo in the Jonah.
Yes, I remember doing it with them.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
amazing.
But you see, with the business of the solo work and with the choirs, they tell me what they're doing, and I sit down and learn it off.
Yes.
And then go to 2 rehearsals, and
then
so,
you show up.
I'm not even mingling enough.
Right.
Well, the members of the choir know me, but you
wouldn't know everybody.
I don't know them as well as they know me.
So what about the that group you're in now? Was it them tenors? What was it?
Oh, them three
Jamaican tenors. Yes.
That could be a long story. Okay. When I came home finally from overseas postings, the government gave me a house to live in Mona Heights. At the end of the road, there was a church of the Ascension,
Yes.
an Anglican church. Now, bear in mind, I've said I was baptized as an infant, confirmed, been a member of St. George's Church all my life. I'm now up here. My wife was a prep school teacher. She taught at St. Hugh's Prep.
Okay.
The wife of the priest in charge at Ascension was a teacher at St. Hugh's Prep.
Okay.
So when they needed a choir director, who you think became it? I had to tell St. George's Church long stories. Of course, they had people down there who could do it.
Okay.
So I said, okay. And it would have been coming back now to go and take over from somebody
Right.
who had been carrying it on. So I said, no,
Right.
I will just go and do my thing at Ascension.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at Ascension for quite a few years. And that choir came on very well. Now, what brought this to mind was your mention of Steve Higgins.
Yes.
Steve Higgins did lessons at UTech.
Mm-hmm.
And one choir practice evening, the church there has a sort of big glass window. So if somebody's standing outside nearby that window, you can see them.
Okay.
And there was this person standing out there. And, it's me and the youngsters in mind. You have a few mature people, but I didn't like the idea of somebody who So I went out and greeted the gentleman. And he said his name was Steve Higgins. He lived in the area. He was on his way home from classes. And I said, well, come inside. Well, after a time, he sang and became sort of like my godson.
Okay.
As I tell him, not a godsend.
But Steve is in Florida now. Is it Florida?
He's in Florida now, but Steve treats me like his father. And then he went and developed them 3 Jamaican tenors
Right.
with Cecil Cooper, who was a painter.
Yes, man.
And so we did quite a few things together. We did tours abroad and all.
Yes, I remember.
Sort of thing, yeah, man.
Yes.
We had a marvelous time. So Steve has been like my son ever since.
Yes.
We are in very close touch at all times.
Good.
Up to now.
So tell me something. So over the years now of doing these kinds of performances and working with the choirs and performing the classical music, the pop music, in your estimation, how have the audiences changed? How have their reception of the type of music changed? Have they changed?
Well, let's put it this way. The people who come to things at Ward Theatre and classical things are people who like classical music, so they come.
Right.
For the other presentations, they like that sort of music, so they come and enjoy themselves.
Okay.
I hate to be saying this because it might sound away, but it is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
I will not pretend that my voice is now what it used to be.
Right.
But even up to last year, if I go somewhere and sing, the audience can. I suppose it must be the age that has got them.
No, I'm sure it's more than that.
No, not a matter. The age, but being able to perform at all.
Oh yes. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's probably a part of that, but also you have years worth of experience and emotion in performing
Precisely.
to bring to the performance.
And I think what probably is the difference between me and many of my co-singers, some of them either sing in oratorio or they sing in ballads.
Okay.
I sing both.
You sing both, right?
And you bring the Butuism, bring the calypso, bring it, I sing
and
it.
You will sing. You're working with a lot of young people as well in the choirs, and you know what they're listening to. You know how easily they learn, or how not so easily they learn. What is your impression? What do you think of the state of the music? And
I'm a little bit sad.
Okay, tell me why.
I'm a little bit sad because a lot of these youngsters have good voices and they're not using them correctly. They're not paying sufficient attention to rhythm. Pitch tends to be wayward.
Yes.
And, it could be so much better.
Yeah.
It could be so much better.
For me, sometimes it's the details that I don't pay attention to. It's,
Well,
it's like the
maybe
kind
I'm
of,
being queasy and I'm looking for too much. But then in my short lifespan, I've conducted 3 different choirs.
yeah. I don't think you're looking for too much.
You don't think so?
I don't think so at all.
But so why won't they listen to what I'm trying to tell them?
Because I teach at Edna Manley now, and
Okay.
and I get sometimes a lot of that as well. You know, it's a lack of attention to detail, and sometimes they approach it with the attitude that they know so much already.
Well, my deep distress, and I can't, as a Jamaican, and Jamaicans are supposed to be people who are sort of soused in rhythm.
Right.
Whatever happened to rhythm?
Yes.
Bang, 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 bang. And you just don't seem to be able to get it.
I've even noticed that some of the singers, the current, people who are young people, singers, they can't hear the blues. They can't hear those blue notes.
Right.
When you hear it in reggae and everything all the time. And now when you give them a song that has that kind of scale, those notes in it, they kind of they estimate and then just turn it into a major scale. So,
It's a tonality problem as well.
yes.
One tone
Yes.
covers everything.
Yes.
It can't be so. It can never be so.
And the thing is that I found that with Jamaica, it's if something happens in a particular area, then you can, once that area has passed, quote unquote, then they can forget it and move on to the next thing. While in other places, everything is going on concurrently, and you can enjoy all of them all the time. But we don't seem to appreciate that there's room for everything.
The other thing that I'm a little bit worried, more than a little bit worried about, this business of feeling that classical music is a tough nose thing, it's ridiculous. You're depriving yourself of all of the more wonderful music that there is.
Yes.
I mean, you sit down and you listen to a nice. All right, no, I try to get a young person to listen to Mendelssohn's Elijah,
Yes.
and the boy was bored stiff.
Really. Yeah.
Now, Mendelssohn's Elijah, to me, the Messiah is great, but a thing that reaches into your soul.
Yes.
And when you realize you're trying to do something and it's not happening.
And some of them, especially some of the Jamaican students have a feeling that it's distant from them, the classical things, but it really isn't, and that's why
Can we take the word classical out of it? You think it will make a difference?
I don't think so. I don't think if you, whatever you call it, because
they're going to know
they'll know
that's
because of the instrumentation, because of the
it's a great
but
pity,
that's
though.
why some of what Rosina is doing with researching the Caribbean composers is important.
That's
so they
right.
realize that there are people from where they're from who worked in that style and genre of music. I mean, it will go to a certain extent and then still probably block up on a wall. But it's a start. And if we can start introducing that information to children and students from there in primary school and prep school, it needs to happen there.
That's where it needs
so
to
they get
begin.
a broader sense of who they are.
Let me
as
go
Caribbean
back to the
people.
business I was telling you about, the polyphone.
Yes.
That's where I first heard my pieces of classical music. It was a plunk one, but the rhythms,
the melodies and the themes and everything.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the orators, they're a blessing. Every time I sit down and listen to Elijah, and I try to do it about once a year, it's my favorite oratorio.
Okay.
Messiah is grand, and a lot of the others are grand. But Elijah, to me, is, it covers so many angles, so many facets, so many everything. But I just feel a great pity.
Yes.
Because it's good music, but you don't like it.
Yes.
How does that work out for you?
Yeah, it's. I think so many of them are underexposed as well, and it takes a little bit of work to expose them, because usually when I try to introduce new things to them, there's always resistance at the
Right,
beginning.
they don't want to be exposed.
Yeah.
And they're resisting what they don't know.
What they don't know, yes. But on the other hand, after going through that process, sometimes a few years later, maybe 5, maybe 10 years later, I'll see them again and I go, oh, Mr. Harris, you know that thing? Remember that thing you were trying to get me to listen to, or that thing you wanted me to hear or to perform? I love it. Thank you so much. You know, and I'm playing it for my child or for my students.
Right.
But it takes a while. You have to chip away at this wall.
No, I tell you, sometimes, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but sometimes I sit and think that I must have done something right.
Yes.
On my 90th birthday, Tony and his wife and my daughter arranged a big party on this lawn.
Yes.
And without any consulting of me, they invited almost all the old people that I used to know and work with.
Oh, wow. Nice. So who was there? Tell me some names.
No big names.
No matter.
Let me see now. me names.
Call up your friends' names.
me names not getting on too well.
Okay.
But there's a particular girl. She was a member of the Church of Ascension Choir.
Yes.
I was very close to those youngsters.
Yes.
And at the point in time, I was a bit more of an adult than so. But when I opened the birthday presents, I had not seen the girl in something like about 10 years. It's $10,000 she gave me, you know.
Wow. Oh, nice.
And I said to myself, David, you must have done something right.
Yes.
You must have done something right.
You must have done something right, yes.
And you feel you're doing, and you feel you're not doing enough, and you want to do more, and it is not happening, and they're not responding, and then suddenly 2 people respond, and the other say, but make us do this, and then suddenly. But that Church of Ascension Choir, I did a recording of a Christmas program with them. I would love to lend you that and make you play too. A church choir.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right.
Wow. Well, this has been great. Thank you.
Oh,
thank you for taking the time. Thank you for accommodating us. We really do appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much indeed.
This is a nice little chat. Thank you.
I don't quite know what to say. My business is
now all over the place.
Anyway, what I would like to wish the people who are listening to this, who will listen to this, please don't take classical music too seriously. Just listen to it.
And enjoy it.
And it will pour over you.
Yes.
It is music and it is beautiful. I'm not going to say it's more beautiful than pop, and I'm not going to say that pop is more beautiful than it.
Right.
Both are beautiful.
True.
And I have enjoyed both all my life, and I think I'm the better off for it. No prejudice.
Yes. All right.
No prejudice. Just listen to the thing. I mean, the music is there. The spirit is there. The story is there. Just listen to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't condemn it.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, a pop song is 3 minutes. An aria from an oratory or a thing there can be 10.
Yes.
Spend the 10 minutes. Spend the 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'll close this where I started. On those metal sheets, those polyphone records, every single piece of classical music, all the old English folk songs, that is where my inspiration came from.
Okay.
That's where my inspiration came from. I didn't know the words of those songs until I grew up old and researched some of them.
Yes.
And then I was able to sing the words. But just the music. Listen to the music.
Okay.
All right?
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.